was the diamond trade that first saw the Jewish community boom here in Antwerp. But with the crisis and Indian traders taking over the business, times are tough for the Jewish community. And with the Flemish government implementing new teaching criteria like sexual education and evolution, many Orthodox Jews, such as the Haredi, feel their way of life is under threat. I met with Deputy Mayor Claude Marinova to get a better understanding of the situation. Claude Marinova, why is the Flemish government enforcing these regulations now?
Well, how would I say, the premises of why they're acting now, I don't know. This is absolutely a project which doesn't fall out of the sky in one day. This is something which has been thought about, has been discussed, and has finally been passed as a decree. A number of these schools in the past had been getting subsidies from the Flemish government in order to finance their teachers, but they have either voluntarily, either compelled to abandon those subsidies, and from that moment on were considered as schools with private home education.
One argument for these regulations has to do with the fact that about 25% of the Haredim community is underneath the poverty line. Do you have any sympathy with this argument?
I think, in my opinion, this is a coincidence. Now, I think that the general measure which was taken by the decree didn't take into consideration specifically the accessibility or inaccessibility of the labor market for these youngsters out of Haredi homes. So I don't think that played a role. I think what played a role is that one didn't want to encourage, as they saw it, a kind of education in which a number of elements are or were lacking.
So what will happen to a school if it fails to comply with the regulations?
No, it's not a school, it's a student. The decree foresees for the moment that age 11, age 15, those youngsters would have to present an exam or to participate in an exam which would cover general features. And if they wouldn't, I think, twice get through that exam, they would then be forced to enroll into the usual school system which exists in Flanders.
But what does the religious community think about the situation?
What are you doing here with this?
Unfortunately, no one from the Haredim community was willing to speak on the issue. So I met with Alexander Zanzer, a member of the European Jewish Parliament, to get his reaction. Alexander Zanzer, why is there such resistance from the religious community here in Antwerp?
First of all, you have to understand that Jewish schools in Antwerp have been an example to the world. Why? Because in such a relatively small community, we have an enormous amount of schools. So at once, the changes come. It's normal that every change have a resistance on the other side. It's mathematical, it's physical resistance. They have the way of life, and they feel that anything which attacks the way of life is a problem.
One part of the religious community here will be taking the case to court. Do they have a case?
Yes, they have a case, because education should not be an ideological issue. Education should be about quality. Quality is not only about sexual education or education, but evolution. This is a question of beliefs, of ideology, if you call it politically.
So to what extent should both sides compromise in this current case?
Both sides have to sit together and see which parts are good for the children, because the education is about the future of the children, not the future of the political establishment or the religious establishment.
Whether the argument is educational, ideological or economic, the fact remains that the community here won't go down without a fight. But it's the children that will suffer the most if indecision continues as disagreement continues. This is Bjarke Smith-Meyer for JN1 in Antwerp.